Hello, welcome, and thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gumansing. Top in this newscast, that seventh-place Senate seat in the St. Thomas-St. John district is still fair game after 231 absentee ballot envelopes were opened by election officials Thursday morning. The seat currently held by Donald Cole is within reach of two candidates. News 2's Erica Bivens was at the vote count and has this update.
Election officials on St. Thomas got a jump start at 9 a.m. Thursday, forming a quorum with Larry Baschulte, Harry Daniel, Lorna Thomas, and Colette White-Amaro. The day began with the same process used for at-poll paper ballots, opening all absentee ballots received and then separating them by race.
So the total ballots, 1,122.
A breakdown of absentee ballots received so far shows 231 Senate ballots, 228 for delegate to Congress, 222 for Board of Elections, 224 for Board of Education, and 217 for the hemp referendum.
How many ballots do you have here?
Election officials began with the Senate race as many of the Senate candidates themselves attended, all bringing notepads and keeping tallies as the numbers were called out.
Okay, no ballot. At large, 2.
Donald Cole brought in 63 votes today, distancing him from 8th place candidate Lawrence Olive by now 70 votes, while Justin Harrigan brought in the most votes today of the three at 75, trailing Olive by just 4 votes. Now those candidates decided not to comment today, stating it's still anyone's game as there are more ballots to be counted tomorrow. 18 spoiled ballots were found in the Senate race today, which candidates say stems from a lack of voter education. Meanwhile, election officials say 313 absentee ballots were mailed out and have until close of business Friday to be returned. The rest of those absentee ballots, along with stray ballots and 173 provisional ballots, will also be counted Friday. For News 2, I'm Erica Bivens.
Now, some of the mail-in absentee ballots were only partially returned or returned empty, which explains why the race totals are not all the same. Meanwhile, in the St. Croix district, election officials finished counting all paper ballots Wednesday evening. Unofficial results include Oswin Sewer for the Board of Education at-large seat, along with Terrence Joseph, Winona Hendricks, Mary Moorhead, and Marshall Webster Sr. for the board. The St. Thomas-St. John Board of Education results are as follows: Judy Gomez, Nandi Siku, Deborah Smith-Watlington, and Era Lockhart. And delegate to Congress, Donna Christensen maintains her lead by a large margin, although she lost by total paper ballot votes to Norma Picard Samuel. And finally, voters also were in favor of the hemp referendum. Again, those are the unofficial results, and we'll keep you posted on those numbers as they are updated. News 2 continues to review legislative documents that were requested by the VI Inspector General's office in regards to the 2011 audit on the VI legislature. News 2's Alison Bourne-Vanek took a look at the files for Senators Celestino White, Carlton Dow, and recently indicted Alvin Williams.
News 2 continues to review legislative documents that were requested by the Virgin Islands Inspector General's office and stem from last year's audit on the VI legislature. News 2 requested to see the documents for Senator Alvin Williams, and documents only went back to 2009, and they did not include traveling during his first term. According to the documents, Senator Alvin Williams made just one trip during his 3 terms as a senator. In March of 2011, he received a cash advancement of $4,480 to go to the Sea Trade Conference in Miami. News 2 called his office on Thursday to confirm the number of trips he made and if any travel documents were missing, but calls were not returned by news time. News 2 did find, however, that Senator Williams sent staff members Rasheen St. Just and recently indicted Gary Sproul on multiple trips to the mainland between 2009 and 2010 that totaled approximately $12,728. According to the legislative documents, Senator Carlton Dow made 10 trips between 2009 and 2012 that totaled to approximately $17,575. News 2 also requested Senator Celestino White's documents and found cash advancement requests for 6 trips between 2009 and 2011 that totaled approximately $16,000. However, the file did not contain copies of checks and was missing multiple expense reports that would detail the exact amount spent per trip. News 2 called Senator White to inquire about the expense reports or if the trips were made, and also if he did any traveling between 2004 and 2009 while he was a senator. But calls were not returned by news time. Allison Bourne-Fanack, News 2.
Again, calls were made to Senators Alvin Williams and Celestino White, but calls were not returned by News Time. Well, the territory is one step closer to making the Virgin Islands Supreme Court just like every other state high court. On Wednesday, the House of Representatives unanimously passed legislation sponsored by VI Delegate Donna Christensen. Bill H.R. 6116 amends the VI's revised Organic Act and says decisions made by the VI Supreme Court would be directly reviewed by the U.S. Supreme Court. News 2's Erica Parsons has more.
Bill H.R. 6116, sponsored by Congresswoman Donna Christensen, passed the U.S. House of Representatives Wednesday and is on its way to the Senate.
In the opinion of the chair, 2/3 being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended, the bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
The legislation means decisions made by the VI Supreme Court will be reviewed directly by the U.S. Supreme Court instead of going through the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. Delegate Christensen testified before her colleagues Wednesday.
Today, the House will take the first step in making the Virgin Islands Supreme Court just like every other high court in the states and territories. This is just one more step on the journey for further local self-governance.
In June, the Third Circuit Court of Appeals Judicial Council presented a glowing 5-year performance review of the VI Supreme Court, and Christensen said it's a testament to the work they've done since 2007.
The Third Circuit report concluded that the U.S. Virgin Islands Supreme Court developed sufficient institutional traditions to justify direct review of its final decisions by the United States Supreme Court and urged Congress to enact legislation providing that the Supreme Court of the U.S. Virgin Islands enjoy the same relationship with the U.S. Supreme Court as the highest court of any state.
Passage of this legislation would put the VI Supreme Court on the same level as every other state high court.
H.R. 6116, sponsored by my good friend and gentlelady from the U.S. Virgin Islands, Dr. Christensen, simply puts into legislation a decision vetted by the Judicial Council of the Third Circuit, established through a process which has already been authorized by Congress.
Mr. Speaker, I ask the members to support the bill, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Erica Parsons, News 2.
Guam's Supreme Court was the last territory to gain direct appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. The Department of Licensing and Consumer Affairs is talking to Walmart officials about the company's new shipping policy to the territory because of growing consumer concerns. DLC officials say initially the Walmart Logistics Department said they were unaware of any shipping problems. Letters DLC received later indicated that the majority of items Walmart ships will still be available, but there are some items that will be discontinued. Consumer Affairs officials say they found that the company is not engaging in illegal practices. They say it's the sole discretion of any corporation. Congress is looking for answers about the September 11th attacks on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi, Libya. Republicans charged the Obama administration put out misinformation in the days following the attack. They're grilling U.S. intelligence and State Department officials today. Danielle Nottingham reports from Capitol Hill.